Well, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters is right here. I am Mike Galetta, aka Hammonton Mike. Do not accept any invitations. With another action-packed edition of the Sports Box for you. You know what? I was thinking about topics to talk about. Since everybody's talking about Sam Bradford, might as well jump in the fray and give you my opinion on the whole thing and how it went down. Got my Eagles green on today, so let's get right to it. First off, Sam Bradford, the big question is, should he stay or should he go? I think at this point in his career and this point of how it's going with the Eagles, he's got to go. It all started this year when Sam Bradford was offered a 4-year agreement. A lot of people don't remember that, but he was offered a 4-year agreement. He turned it down. Not a big deal. That just tells me he wants to either play out the year or try to play out the year, maybe a 2-year deal or something small, to get a long-term deal with the Eagles or somebody else, which is acceptable, just like the free agents do. He wants the best of both worlds, you know, to play out the season, hopefully have a good year, bump up the stakes, get another team to jump into bidding, and him make more money. It's bad enough he stole enough money out of the league as it is now. Why not get more? But that's a whole different story. At that time, the Eagles were sitting 13. So now, let's go back. Sam Bradford has a 2-year deal, okay? The first year is his deal. The second year is a team option, all right? He was given $11 million up front. The whole agreement of the contract, I believe, is somewhere in the neighborhood of $25 to $28 million, okay? That's if he plays 2 years. 1 year, after 1 year, they could get rid of him. That's the team option and, you know, move on to do what he wants. So at the time, the Eagles set 13. As seeing 13, we all thought they should bring an offensive lineman. Then the Maxwell deal went down with Miami. Miami said, you know what, we'll give you an 8th round pick. I thought that GM should be fired at the time because I can't believe you're moving up in the draft for those 2 players. Anyway, the Eagles get the 8th overall pick. Great, still get an offensive lineman. They're thinking, you know, maybe Joey Bosa falls there, Tunsil, whatever the case may be. All of a sudden, out of the blue, Howie decides to get up to number 2. So they trade what they have to trade. I think they mortgaged a little too much than they should have, but I guess you had to get up to number 2. And took a quarterback in Carson Wentz. Now Carson Wentz, real quickly, I think will be a good quarterback. Even though he's a Division I AA quarterback, I think maybe you go from a project being 1 year to an NFL starter to maybe a little bit more, but I think he definitely plays either the end of this year or next year for sure. But in any sense, they move to number 2. Now that ticks Bradford off to the point where he says, you know what, I'm not coming into camp. Well, I think the way he handled it, and I can see his upset about the Philadelphia Eagles. In a month and a half, 2 months' time, here goes Sam Bradford playing for a job and a career, long-term deal to, okay, well, you're out of here in 1 year. And it's, you know, it's the life of the NFL. You don't draft a guy, too, to have him sit on the bench and have Bradford go long-term. So now Bradford knows he's out of here after a year. So he's pissed off. Now he's not coming to camp now. I think what Bradford has done now is really cut himself off from the Eagles in the sense of I think this thing is unrepairable. You bring him back, fans aren't going to like him at all. Players, who knows? The players, some guys might be okay with it, let him go, do this and that, brush it off. There's going to be other guys in that locker room that you know, aren't big on this of what Sam Bradford did. And I don't agree with what he did either, because in the long-term picture, if any other team out there wants to take a shot at Sam Bradford, this is in their back of their mind that, okay, well, this guy doesn't want to compete or something doesn't go his way. Is this guy going to freak out again and hold out? I mean, that's not a good way to do it. But you know what? His agent, very smart guy. Is he doing the right thing? You know, I think there is a market for him out there. I think the only thing Sam Bradford can hope for now in his camp, well, not hope for, but the Eagles can hope for, is that something happens in the preseason and in training camp where guys get hurt or in the league, something happens to people, then they're going to be able to trade him. Denver did offer, the rumors are, Denver did offer the Eagles a trade per se, but the Eagles wanted 2 second-round picks. I think they're crazy. I don't think anybody's giving you 2 second-round picks for Bradford. At this point, you take a 4 or 5. But that's a whole other story. But in any sense, there's no trade with Denver. It looks imminent right now. The Jets could use a quarterback, and Chip Kelly out in San Francisco could use a quarterback too. But again, guys could get hurt in the preseason. They could get hurt in training camp. That could open up a whole different avenue. And for the Eagles sense, you better hope they can, because at this point, I don't think you can bring him back in here. And you know, just getting back to Carson Wentz real quick. The Eagles did like this guy. They loved him. They think he's going to be a great quarterback, and I think he's going to be okay as well. But you know what? I know sometimes you take a crapshoot at some of these guys, what you give up for. If they do not if this guy, Carson Wentz, does not turn out to be, I think, a little bit better, if not the same as Andrew Luck, you're going to set the franchise back about 3 to 4 years, because what you gave up for him is a king's ransom. Wrap your head around this one. If, for some reason, well, like you said, Sam Bradford, I don't think is coming back. So you start the year with Chase Daniel. And that's Daniel, not Daniels. Daniel. Chase Daniel. You start the season with him. Okay quarterback. Him, and then you combine with Carson Wentz, maybe near, I don't know, the last 5 or 6 games of the year maybe. With that, I think the Eagles are looking at 5 or 6 wins this year. I know Eagles fans, you don't want to hear it, but unfortunately, those two quarterbacks, the capability and the power they can do, I'm saying 5 to 6 wins. If that is the case and that happens, Cleveland does have your #1 pick next year. The Eagles do not have a #1 pick. You just gave Cleveland a top 10, if not a top 5 draft pick for next year. Now, don't do anything with it, but you just gave another team a better pick to move up the ladder down the road. Like I said, it's got to work out with Carson Wentz. I think they should have won offensive lineman personally. They haven't taken an offensive lineman in so long. In the second round or the third round, they did take an offensive lineman, so that's good for them. But they need to recoup this line. They need to get rebuilt again for this team. But that's a whole other issue. But that's the whole story with Sam Bradford. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you liked my opinion. Comment in. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know. Mike, great comments. Mike, no, you're off base. Whatever. Love to hear from you. Love to know you're watching the show. So thanks for watching the Sports Box. And remember, the only opinion that matters, right here. Take care, folks. Keep an eye out for me. Make sure you subscribe. See you.
Don't forget to subscribe.